Chapter 1. Who do people say that I am? Christology. When I was a teenager, I started a unique radio show. It was called Teen to Teen, and it featured random man-on-the-street interviews I conducted with other teens. I would ask them questions to learn their views on various matters. It was actually a lead-in for evangelism. I would go to malls, skating parties, arcades. Okay, teenagers, don't ask. I know, I'm old. And other places where teens hung out. I found that people will open up to a person with a microphone in his hand and engage in conversations they might not otherwise. The show never became a broadcast success, but I learned that people have opinions about everything. Divorce, drugs, suicide, relationships, religion, you name it. I learned a lot about the beliefs and values of my generation from asking questions and listening to their answers. Who is Jesus? If you were to do an investigative interview with average Americans, you would be likely to find many different responses to the question, who was or who is Jesus? If you were to ask the famous atheist evangelist Richard Dawkins, you would hear this, quote, Jesus was a great moral teacher. Somebody as intelligent as Jesus would have been an atheist if he had known what we know today, end quote. The late atheist author Christopher Hitchens denied Jesus' existence. Quote, Jesus of Nazareth is not a figure in history. There is no firm evidence that he existed, end quote. Famous atheist Bertrand Russell wrote, quote, I now want to say a few words upon a topic which I often think is not quite sufficiently dealt with by rationalists, and that is the question whether Christ was the best and wisest of men. It is generally taken for granted that we should all agree that that was so. I do not myself. I think there are many good points upon which I agree with Christ a great deal more than professing Christians do. I do not know that I could go with him all the way, but I could go with him much farther than most professing Christians can, end quote. Deepak Chopra, a New Age guru, says, quote, I see Christ as a state of consciousness that we can all aspire to, end quote. Former Bible college graduate and current agnostic professor Bart Ehrman has this opinion. Quote, the Christians did not invent Jesus. They invented the idea that the Messiah had to be crucified. Whether we like it or not, Jesus certainly existed, end quote. Atheist author Sam Harris has this cynical view of Jesus. Quote, Jesus Christ, a carpenter by trade, was born of a virgin, ritually murdered as a scapegoat for the collective sins of his species, and then resurrected from death after an interval of 3 days. He promptly ascended bodily to, quote, heaven, where for 2 millennia he has eavesdropped upon, and on occasion even answered, the simultaneous prayers of billions of beleaguered human beings. Not content to maintain this numinous arrangement indefinitely, this invisible carpenter will one day return to earth to judge humanity for its sexual indiscretions and skeptical doubts, at which time he will grant immortality to anyone who has had the good fortune to be convinced on mother's knee that this baffling litany of miracles is the most important series of truth claims ever revealed about the cosmos. Every other member of our species, past and present, from Cleopatra to Einstein, no matter what his or her terrestrial accomplishments, will probably be consigned to a fiery hell for all eternity, end quote. One world-renowned religious leader declares Jesus to be merely another human being. Quote, I think of Jesus as a human being, a historical person later understood as the Son of God. I relate to him as a natural Jesus, an extraordinary human being, one of the few who have become universal teachers, end quote. What do the majority of contemporary Americans believe about who Jesus is? A 2013 Harris poll stated that most Americans believe Jesus is God or the Son of God, 68%, down 72% in 2005. That he was born of a virgin,